Let me ask you this. What if the woman you love has an entirely different truth she's never shown you? Not because she's evil, but because she's careful, sober. She's calculating every word, making sure she keeps the peace. But after a few drinks, that calculation disappears. And if you know the right questions to ask, you'll hear the thoughts she's been sitting on for months, maybe years. Today, I'm going to give you 6 questions that cut past her performance and reveal the woman you're really with. Some answers will reassure you, others might break you. But the most dangerous answer is the one she gives while looking you in the eye, smiling, like it means nothing. That smile hides more than you think. Here's why that after a few drinks moment matters. When she's sober, every answer is dressed up, every story rehearsed, and every slip of emotion is quickly covered. But alcohol takes away her ability to stage manage herself. Her guard drops without her realizing it, and you start hearing the raw, unpolished version of her thoughts, the version she usually keeps locked away where you can't touch it. So here's the thing. Some men believe honesty at any cost is the key to a strong relationship. Others think some truths should stay buried if you want peace. Where do you stand? Subscribe if you value straight talk, like this video if you're ready to hear it, and drop a comment with your take. I read every one because the debate itself reveals just how differently we see love and trust. Now, let's walk straight into the questions that can confirm your future or shake it to its core. Number 1. Who was the person you truly loved? You want to know the truth? Ask her this when she's had just enough wine to drop the mask. Who was your first real love? Now, to you, that might sound innocent, maybe even nostalgic. But when she's tipsy, that question becomes emotional TNT. You're not just opening a memory vault, you're unlocking her emotional blueprint. The guy she fell for before she learned to censor herself, before she learned to perform, before she figured out what was appropriate to feel. Here's why this matters. When a woman is drunk, she's not filtering. She's not rehearsing. She's not trying to protect your ego. She's just responding from muscle memory. And that memory is emotional. Her words will come straight from the basement of her subconscious. Listen to the way she describes him. Is her voice softer? Does she use words like intense, magnetic? I've never felt that way again. Words she's never used for you? That's not just nostalgia. That's unresolved connection. That's her telling you, without saying it, that the bar was once higher. Watch her eyes. Does she light up like she's reliving something sacred? Or does she get cagey, defensive, even dismissive? But then 5 minutes later, she's back on the topic without you asking? That's a loop. And emotional loops never fully close unless they're processed or replaced. Here's the brutal truth most men miss. You're not competing with another man. You're competing with a memory she's romanticized beyond reality. That first love, in her head, has been photoshopped by time. The flaws are gone. The drama is framed as passion. The heartbreak is repackaged as the one that got away. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole relationship trying to live up to a ghost. Let me give you a real-world example. Steve, 49, civil engineer in Chicago. Married 10 years. One night, his wife had one too many glasses of red during a small get-together. They were sitting alone in the kitchen while the party was winding down. He jokingly asked, "So, who was your first real love?" expecting a laugh. Instead, she paused, then started talking about Mark, high school boyfriend. She said things like, "He understood parts of me I didn't even understand yet," and "We had this kind of chemistry I've never found again." Steve smiled politely, but inside, he was frozen. Later that week, his gut told him something was off. He checked her messages. Turns out, Mark wasn't just a memory. They'd been in touch. Subtle, but consistent. A comment here, a birthday message there, a DM when he got divorced. That conversation didn't just open a door. It revealed a door that had never closed. Now, let me be clear. The goal of this question isn't to trap her. It's to observe. How does she respond emotionally? What details does she reveal, and which ones does she gloss over? Does she describe the man, or does she describe the feeling? Because when a woman's drunk, what she remembers tells you what she's still emotionally wired to. If she says, "I don't remember," but then 5 minutes later describes his car, the way he smelled, and what song was playing the last time they kissed, that's not forgetfulness, that's suppression. And suppression only exists where pain or passion still lives. Bottom line? If her answer is vague, quick, forgettable, you're probably in the clear. If her answer is detailed, emotional, and just a little too poetic, you've just met your competition, and he doesn't even need to be alive to beat you. Say it with me. You can't build your future with a woman who's still mentally living in her past. Number 2. Is there something you've never told me? You want to know where a woman's secrets live? Ask her this when she's buzzed enough to forget she's curating her words. Is there something you've never told me? This is not a surface-level question. This is the master key, because alcohol doesn't just lower inhibition, it dissolves the mask. And when that happens, what spills out isn't always pretty. Sometimes it's harmless, sometimes it's devastating, but it's always revealing. Here's the psychology behind it. When a woman is slightly drunk, there's a window where her defenses drop, but her emotions spike. In that moment, confession feels like relief, especially if she's been carrying something, a thought, a temptation, a resentment, a regret. What makes this question so powerful is it doesn't point her in any direction. It lets her subconscious choose what to reveal. And what rises to the top is what's been pushing hardest for airtime inside her head. Now, don't make the mistake of interpreting every confession as an act of love or honesty. Some confessions are cries for connection. Others are smoke signals from a woman who's emotionally checked out but hasn't left yet. You've got to watch how she delivers it. Does she avoid your eyes, laugh nervously, take a deep breath before answering, or stall with a drink in her hand like she's weighing whether to rip the Band-Aid? That's not performance. That's a woman at war with her conscience. Let me give you an example that hit hard. Jason, 51, owns a small roofing business in Phoenix. His girlfriend, Naomi, was having a birthday dinner with friends. Few glasses of champagne in, things wind down. It's just the two of them at home. Out of nowhere, he asks, "Is there anything you've never told me?" She smirks, rolls her eyes, says, "You really want to know?" Then she confesses. 2 years ago, she met up for drinks with her ex while Jason was out of town. Nothing happened, she says. But she didn't tell Jason. Not then. Not ever. Until that night. Now here's where it gets tricky. She framed it as just closure. She looked relieved, even smiled after, like she'd finally dropped a weight. But Jason, that weight landed squarely on his chest. And that's the thing. These moments aren't about the act itself. They're about motive, energy, and timing. Was she confessing out of guilt, hoping to reconnect, or out of indifference, just letting you know because it doesn't matter to her anymore? There's a massive difference between a woman who's ashamed and wants to rebuild, and one who's numb and just dumping emotional baggage in your lap. What you need to pay attention to is what kind of secret she reveals. Some women might admit they felt trapped, that they're not sure they love you the same way, that they've been faking interest in things you thought were shared passions, or even worse, that they've imagined lives where you're no longer in the picture. Others might say things like, "I've always hated your best friend," or "I never liked the city we moved to." That's not just venting. That's resentment that's been fermenting in silence. Then there are financial secrets, hidden debts, undisclosed spending, or plans made without you. These aren't just trust issues. They're signs she's making moves in her head that you're not part of. Now, here's the real test. After she tells you, does she try to comfort you? Does she lean in and say, "I didn't want to hurt you, I just needed to be honest"? Or does she stay cold, distant, like she was just checking off a box. Because one of those reactions is someone who wants to fix things. The other is someone already gone. They just haven't packed their bags yet. Final warning: don't take every confession as a sign she loves you. Some people tell the truth when drunk because they finally stop caring about the consequences. So when you ask this question, don't just listen for the words. Watch her face, feel her energy. Because whatever rises from her lips in that moment is what she's been hiding from you, and maybe from herself. Number 3, have you ever imagined living with someone else? This one stings, not because of what she might say, but because of what it forces you to face. Is she really with you, or just with the version of life she settled for? When a woman is sober, this question is a landmine. She'll sidestep it, joke it off, or give you a diplomatic, ego-soothing answer. But when she's been drinking and her filters are down, she might finally say what she's been rehearsing in her head for months. Have you ever imagined living with someone else? Don't be surprised if her answer is immediate. Fantasy lives don't require a lot of digging. They're already on standby, waiting for a crack in the emotional dam. Now, this is where things get serious. Every human wonders, what if, now and then? That's normal. But what you're listening for here isn't just if she's ever wondered. You're listening for how real those daydreams have become. Does she speak vaguely about something different? Or does she start naming names? Does she say, "Sometimes I wonder what it would have been like if I had moved to New York"? Or does she say, "If I'd stayed with Ryan, we probably would have opened that little cafe in Portland by now"? Let me give you a story that'll make this point hit harder. Daniel, 55, warehouse logistics manager from Oregon. Married 12 years. His wife had a few margaritas during their anniversary trip. Casual night, they're on the balcony, just talking about life. He asks the question, half teasing, half serious. She gets quiet, stares out at the street, and says, "You know, if I had married David, my old coworker, I think I'd be living in Florida now, probably working at a nonprofit, maybe doing some art on the side." She wasn't fantasizing. She was remembering a version of life she still grieves. And Daniel, he didn't just hear a harmless daydream. He heard that he wasn't her first choice, maybe not even her second. This question cuts deep because it reveals whether you're her decision or her default. A woman who has emotionally committed to you might still have occasional what-if thoughts, but they're like passing clouds. She doesn't feed them. She doesn't build narratives around them. And she sure as hell doesn't describe them in detail. But if she starts painting vivid pictures, new cities, new careers, new families, and there's a man in that picture, you're not just her partner, you're her compromise. Watch for these signs. She gets energized while describing that alternate life. She speaks about someone with warmth, admiration, or longing. She doesn't downplay the fantasy. She defends it. This is how you know. She's been living there in her head. And if that's where her mind goes when her heart is unguarded, don't fool yourself. Her body might be beside you, but her mind, it's already moved on. Now, I'm not saying she's cheating. I'm saying emotional migration happens long before physical betrayal. And this question tells you whether she's already packing internally. You want a partner who's chosen you fully, not someone who's with you while quietly craving a different version of life. And here's a warning most men need to hear. A woman doesn't need to be unhappy to fantasize about someone else. She just needs to be unfulfilled. So ask the question, and listen not just to what she says, but to the world she builds with her words. Because if that world doesn't have you in it, you've already been replaced. You just didn't get the memo yet. Number 4. What's the biggest lie you've ever told me? Lies don't always scream. Sometimes they whisper. And sometimes they live so quietly in the background that you forget to question them. Until one night, after 2 glasses of red wine, she finally tells you the truth you didn't even know was missing. What's the biggest lie you've ever told me? That's not a casual question. That's a psychological trapdoor. And if she's tipsy enough to stop calculating how she'll be perceived, she might just walk right through it. Here's what most men don't get about lies in relationships. They're not all malicious. Some are told to preserve peace. Some are told to avoid confrontation. And some are told because she doesn't believe you can handle the truth without flipping the entire relationship upside down. But when she's drunk, that fear gets quiet. Her desire to just get it off her chest gets loud. Now pay attention, because lies come in layers. Layer 1. Harmless, ego-saving lies. She never really liked that cologne you wear every damn day. She hates your mother's casserole. Those jeans, yeah, they actually do make you look old. Layer 2. Strategic lies. She said she was out with coworkers, but she actually met up with someone she used to date. She told you she was fine with your long work hours, but secretly resents how much time you're gone. She pretended to be cool with that Vegas bachelor party, but stalked every Instagram story posted that weekend. Layer 3. The most dangerous. Lies of emotional disconnection. She says she's happy, but she's not. She says she's still attracted to you, but that hasn't been true for months. She says she wants the same future as you, but her plans have quietly changed. These aren't lies told to protect you. They're told to protect the illusion of the relationship. Let me tell you about Marcus. He's 46, owns a fitness center in Tampa. His girlfriend, Angela, had a bit too much champagne on New Year's Eve. They're alone, lying on the couch, the room dim and quiet. He asks, "What's the biggest lie you've ever told me?" She laughs. "You really want to know?" And then she says it. "I told you I wasn't still talking to him, but I was, for about 3 more months after we started dating." Silence. What hit Marcus the hardest wasn't that she kept in touch with her ex. It's that for nearly a year, she let him believe he was the only one on her radar, when in reality, he was Plan B gaining traction. He told me later, "That wasn't just a lie. That was time stolen from me." You see, lies reveal more than deception. They expose her judgment of your emotional intelligence. If she lies to you about how she feels, about where she's been, about who she talks to, it's because in her mind, either you can't handle the truth or she doesn't respect you enough to offer it. Here's your emotional radar. If she tells the truth and looks at you like she's scared of your reaction, there's still care there. If she tells the truth and shrugs, that's detachment. If she tells the truth with a smirk or a sarcastic laugh, that's resentment wrapped in performance. Don't overreact. Don't explode. Don't interrogate her. Just listen. Store it. Let it settle. And later, test for consistency. Watch if her behaviors match the tone of her confession. That will tell you everything about whether that lie was a one-time failure or a pattern you've been blind to. Because in the end, it's not about what she lied about. It's about what kind of relationship she believes she's in and what kind of man she believes she's dealing with. Number 5. Who in my friend group do you find attractive? This question should come with a warning label. Proceed with extreme emotional caution, because when you ask it, especially when she's been drinking, you're pulling the pin on a grenade that could either reveal nothing or everything you didn't want to know. Who in my friend group do you find attractive? Most women, when sober, will dodge this like it's a trap. And to be fair, it kind of is. It puts her in a social minefield. If she names someone, she creates tension. If she says no one, she's probably lying to keep the peace. But when alcohol's in the mix, filters go offline. And that's when the truth starts slipping out like smoke through a cracked door. Now, let's be clear. Attraction is not betrayal. Every human being, yourself included, feels attraction to people outside their relationship. The real issue is what kind of attraction it is and how she manages it. There's a world of difference between your friend Jake is hot and Jake's really the only one who gets me. Let me tell you a story that illustrates just how subtle but devastating this can be. Mike, 42, long-haul trucker from Ohio. Solid guy. Low drama, high loyalty. He's been dating a woman for about a year. One weekend, they're at a small get-together with his buddies. She gets tipsy, sits a little too close to his friend Brad, and out of nowhere says, Brad always remembers my birthday. Even you forgot it once. It sounded playful. But Mike? He felt something shift. Later that night, he asked her about it. She giggled and said, "I'm just saying, Brad's really sweet. I like talking to him." Here's the punchline. That wasn't a compliment. That was a breadcrumb trail of emotional leakage. What she was really saying was, Brad gives me something you don't. See, physical attraction is one thing. Emotional attraction? That's a whole different beast. It's quiet, it's slow, and it's deadly to the foundation of your relationship. Women don't fall for the best man in the room. They fall for the man who feels like he listens, like he notices, like he gives a damn. And if that man happens to be your friend, you've got a double problem: jealousy and betrayal. Here's what to watch for when she answers. Does she name someone immediately? That means she's already been thinking about it. Does she get specific? He's funny. He's thoughtful. He checks on me when you're busy. These aren't surface-level attractions. These are emotional ties being quietly formed. Does she downplay it, but blush? Her body's telling the truth, even if her words are trying to stay neutral. Also, pay attention to frequency and familiarity. If she's attracted to someone she barely knows, that's manageable. But if it's someone she interacts with regularly, texts, chats, jokes with over dinner, now you're dealing with an active emotional proximity. And no, it doesn't matter if she says it's harmless, if her tone is too casual, if her smile lingers, if she looks away when she says his name, you're looking at a spark she hasn't admitted to herself yet. So what do you do with this information? First, don't make a scene. Don't accuse. Don't demand that she cut someone off. That only makes you look insecure and drives the connection deeper underground. Instead, observe. Create a little emotional distance. Let her show you, through actions, whether that spark is something she's entertaining or extinguishing. Because the real danger isn't that she finds someone else attractive. The real danger is that she no longer finds you emotionally engaging enough to care if you notice. Number 6, if you could change one thing about our relationship, what would it be? This is the question that sounds like you're just making conversation. But when she's drunk and her emotional brakes are off, you're not getting polite answers. You're getting confessions. If you could change one thing about our relationship, what would it be? Sober women will play nice here. They'll say things like more date nights or better communication, surface-level tweaks, friendly nudges. But tipsy women, they'll go deeper, they'll go darker, and they'll give you a window into how they really feel, even if they've been pretending otherwise for months. Here's what you need to understand. The answer to this question reveals whether she's still building the relationship or secretly preparing to exit it. Pay close attention to the type of thing she wants to change. If she says, "I wish you'd take more initiative," or "I wish we traveled more," that's behavior. That's adjustable. That's fixable. But if she says, "I wish you were more confident," or "I wish we could connect emotionally the way we used to," she's talking about your essence. She's not critiquing what you do. She's critiquing who you are. Let me bring in a story here. Chris, 58, owns a car dealership in Phoenix. One night, his wife, Rachel, had a little too much wine during a dinner party at home. Later that evening, while they were cleaning up together, he casually asked her, "If you could change one thing about us, what would it be?" She paused, then said, "I wish you were more like Frank, more driven, more ambitious, like you were when we met." Now, Frank was Chris's business partner, the kind of guy who worked 80-hour weeks, ran marathons, always had 10 new ideas cooking. Chris told me later, it wasn't just what she said, it's that she'd been holding that comparison inside for years. That wasn't a thought, it was a conclusion. That's the danger here. When her answer involves comparisons, especially to specific people, she's not hoping you'll grow. She's signaling that you've already failed some unspoken test. Another sign? If she starts her answer with, "I just miss," or "remember when we used to," she's not talking about the future. She's reminiscing about a version of the relationship that's already dead in her mind. And here's the real kicker. If the change she wants is something she knows you can't or won't give her, then that answer is not a suggestion. It's a disguised declaration of detachment. So what do you do when you hear one of these honesty bombs? Don't explain. Don't defend. Don't negotiate your personality like it's on clearance sale. Instead, ask yourself, is this feedback or is this mourning? Is she expressing disappointment because she still believes in the relationship? Or is she just voicing regrets before she makes her next move? Look, you're allowed to change. You're allowed to grow, but not to morph into someone you're not just to keep her around. The version of her that speaks when drunk is closer to the version you'll be stuck with when life gets hard and the masks fall away. So if her answer to this question feels like a betrayal or a blindside, it probably is. And if what she wants to change is so fundamental, so personal, that it chips away at your core, don't change for her. Let her go find the man she's describing. You stay loyal to the version of yourself that doesn't have to be rewritten just to be loved. Let me leave you with a hard truth, one that most men don't want to hear, but absolutely need to. These questions, they're not tricks. They're not emotional booby traps. They're truth grenades. And when you ask them at the right moment, when her walls are down, when her guard is off, they explode quietly, not with yelling, not with drama, but with information. Real, raw, unfiltered insight. What you do with that insight, that's where your power lies. This isn't about trapping her in contradictions or catching her red-handed. It's not about weaponizing her honesty against her. It's about clarity. It's about finally seeing whether the woman sleeping next to you is emotionally with you or just physically present while mentally elsewhere. Because drunk words, they're not just sloppy feelings. They're signals from the subconscious. They tell you what she's too careful or too afraid to say sober. Sometimes what you hear will hurt. But ask yourself, would you rather hear a painful truth now or live inside a beautiful lie for 5 more years, only to realize you were never really chosen? Remember, alcohol doesn't invent new truths. It reveals old ones she's been sitting on. And a woman who still respects you, even drunk, will still protect what you have. She won't volunteer daggers to your chest. She'll filter her honesty with care. She'll stay loyal in tone, not just in words. But if the version of her you meet in those unguarded moments is cold, cruel, dismissive, or worse, emotionally tied to another man, you're not in a relationship. You're in a performance. And here's the final punch. You don't need more time with her to know the truth. You just need one clear night, one honest conversation, and the balls to actually listen. So ask the questions. Let the answers land. And whatever they reveal, walk forward with your eyes open, your self-worth intact, and your standards unmoved. Because the truth might sting now. But lies will rot you from the inside out, one fake smile at a time. Drop a comment if you've ever had a drunk conversation that changed everything. You don't have to share the details. Just let other men know they're not crazy for feeling the shift. And if you're ready to stop guessing and start knowing, hit that subscribe button. This channel isn't about sugarcoating love. It's about decoding it. Because clarity isn't cruel. It's the highest form of respect you can give yourself.